You know, it's actually not as cold as it was yesterday. Yesterday I spent most of the day in northern Georgia, I should say. But now, here today, I am in a rather large city. Pretty large. It's about maybe double the size of Cleveland. But anyway, long story short, I am here in Columbus, Georgia. Anyway, you guys, the reason why I'm here in Columbus, Georgia is because something incredible happened here. And that certain something started with a wounded Confederate soldier here in this area long ago. His name was Joseph Pemberton. Joseph Pemberton, he invented a drink that he called French cola wine. And now this French cola wine, it was as a result of him trying to fulfill his ailments of a wound he sustained during the war between the states. You see, he was a doctor, a physician, and he, as I was saying, he fought during the Civil War, but he took a stab in the chest. Now, this caused him to leave the Confederate States of America, and from there he would go and he would continue his practices. I believe he got his medical degree from Knoxville, Georgia, and he came in here to Columbus, Georgia to continue his practices. Now, Joseph Pemberton, he was trying to get off of this morphine. He had built up an addiction because of it. So this concoction that he initially created, it was a mix between wine and cocaine. Now, this drink that he created, it would become a locally famous drink slash medicine. Now, Joseph Pemberton, he believed that this concoction that he created, it would help. He will take this idea of his to Atlanta, Georgia, and this is where he will seek the help from several business partners. He believes he has created a medicine that can help Civil War soldiers, both Confederate and Union, get off morphine and addiction. Well, right as this time is happening, the Prohibition era is taking effect. So as a result of this, Joseph Pemberton, he has to come up with an idea. And this idea is totally by accident. It is a mix of syrup and carbonated water and other ingredients. Now, what he had just created, present day, is known as Coca-Cola. And this statue right here, this is Joseph Pemberton, the creator of one of the greatest soft drinks that has ever hit the market and will probably ever exist. And yes, you can thank this man right here, for he was the one who invented Coca-Cola. And while we are here today, you guys, we are going to see some of the historic sites of this legend behind me. Yes, you can say Coke was not invented in Atlanta, but rather it was invented here in Columbus, Georgia. And I also want to note this too before we check out one of the first areas. This is a statue of a little girl, but there is no marker here. So what's going on here? I don't really know, but she does have a Coca-Cola. As we were walking to the first location, I found this and I just thought it was really interesting. But this is the first water drinking fountain in the city of Columbus. Way back in the day, the little one on the bottom would be for like dogs and cats and whatnot. The top one would be for like horses. I believe horses too. I do know that no, that one was for humans. That one was for the horses, and that one was for the cats and the dogs. So that is a really cool piece of history, and it kind of goes along with what we're about to talk about. Along Broadway here in Columbus, Georgia, this area right here, there were a series of drugstores owned by Joseph Pemberton. Now this historical marker kind of tells a little bit more about it. Dr. John S. Pemberton, physician, pharmacist, and manufacturing chemist, was one of the many druggists of Columbus. Pemberton was a partner in 6 firms from 1857 to 1869. His partners included Robert Carter, another druggist, and Nathaniel Nichols, a wealthy local businessman whose only capital for their store in Cook's Hotel, which I'm guessing is this building right here. Drugstores and a soda fountain dispensed sparkling water for 10 fruit extracts with soda water, his French wine of Coca. Later, Coca-Cola was marketed as a tonic and a soda fountain drink. So this is one of the areas that Coke, I should say French Cola wine, was first dispensed in his drugstore here in along Broadway. So as I was saying, it very much goes along with that drinking fountain right over there. And here is more history on the other side of this historic marker. Pemberton's drugstores. These ads reveal what patent medicines were being sold in drugstores at the time. The map shows the locations of Dr. Pemberton's drugstores in downtown Columbus. So this map right here kind of shows where the other pharmacies were. Joseph J.S. Pemberton and Co., Chemical Laboratory, Physicians and Merchants. So we are going to head to the next spot. You know, I kind of like it how some of these old towns are like this, because way back when, Columbus, Georgia was a pretty big railroad spot as well. May have been railroad or may have been trolley. I'm pretty sure it was the railroad. You have tracks that disappear right there, and you have more tracks that disappear just as soon as they start. Very unusual, very cool. And here we are at the next site, Dr. Pemberton's country home, which is this building right here. As it says on the Georgia State Historic Marker, this house served as the residence of John S. Pemberton between 1860 and 1869. As the originator of Coca-Cola, or for Coca-Cola, he moved to this home from the white frame cottage located on 11th 7th Avenue Street, originally located in the country 4 miles north of Columbus. This structure was moved to this site in 1977 to afford it the protection of the nationally registered Columbus Historic District. So I guess maybe it just simply couldn't get on the National Registry of Historic Sites. But it was in this house right here, Dr. Pemberton's second home, here off of Broadway, although this was not its original location. Now we can't go up to the steps just for property reasons, but I do want to look at this house as it is. This house is absolutely gorgeous. It's almost as if it is locked in time back into the days of the Civil War era and afterwards. And as you read in that previous marker, that is where we are heading to next. The first house of Dr. Pemberton, where he lived here in Columbus, about 4 miles from here. As it was stating there, it was also moved to be protected. So let's walk down the street. Let's take a look at it, shall we? And of all things, it was quite literally around the corner. Talk about humor. Yes, indeed. Anyway, this is the very first house that Dr. Joseph Pemberton and his wife lived in while they were here in Columbus, Georgia. Let's read the marker. From 1855 to 1860, Dr. John S. Pemberton, originator of the formula for Coca-Cola, lived in this house with his family. Dr. Pemberton and his wife Anne Eliza Clifford Lewis had one son, Charles. As a druggist in Columbus, he originated several medicines before he moved to Atlanta in 1869. Dr. Pemberton died in 1888 and is buried in Linwood Cemetery. In 1972, Historic Columbus and the Coca-Cola Company partnered together to save and restore the home. Originally located at 1017 3rd Avenue, the house and an outbuilding were moved to this site. The home served as a house museum until 2013. Here on the other side of the marker, the Victorian details and a half-story added by a later owner of the home were removed when the home was moved to this site. So in that photo right there, I guess it would be an iron steel, I guess. It used to have a second story, but as you can tell, it no longer has it. And at one point up until 2013, it was a museum. Kind of looks like it's just a private residence now. But now we are going to head to Linwood Cemetery, where the creator of Coca-Cola is buried. Now, after you've heard all this, you probably think that Joseph Pemberton, he made it pretty well in life. You know, he was the creator of Coca-Cola, one of the biggest sodas in the entire world. He must have been a billionaire when he died. The fact is, he actually died penniless. The reason why is when he got older, his morphine addiction continued to worsen until in 1888, when stomach cancer was the thing that killed him. As a way to keep up with his addiction and paying with his bills and whatnot, he sold all his shares to his various financial partners. Now, he did try to keep a few shares just to keep his name on his creation, but he died before he could even really use it. His son Charles was going to use it, but he needed the money as well. And not that long, a few years later, his son died from an opiate addiction, or an opiate overdose. But now we are going to head to the family cemetery where the creator of Coke is buried, his son is buried, his wife Clifford is buried. So without further ado, you guys, let's do it. We have made it to the gravesite of the creator of Coca-Cola, Joseph Stith Pemberton. And here he is buried amongst all the Coca-Cola bottles and whatnot. Yes, he is remembered. And to be honest, I think these Coca-Cola bottles should be picked up to make it look a little bit nicer. John Stith Pemberton, or Joseph Stith Pemberton, he will never see his dream unfurl. Sadly, he died penniless. He actually died of stomach cancer, although his addiction and his various other ailments followed him to his grave. But this is where he is buried. The man, the myth, the legend, the creator of Coke. And just to be respectful, I'll pick these up a little bit, make it look a little bit nicer. I don't know how I feel about Diet Coke. Diet Coke is not real Coke. Anyway, just to make it look a little bit nicer. I like the glass bottles a little bit more. Thank you, sir, for creating one of the greatest drinks that the world has ever known. And for the celebration of this vlog, in order to remember this great man, I will drink a Coke. Now, one of my favorite vloggers, Adam the Woo, did something similar. Actually, I kind of got the idea for this from this video from him, but I wanted to do it on a smaller scale. This man was an absolute genius. I don't even think he realized it. Refreshing. By the way, here's his wife, Clifford Lewis, the wife, of course. And then here on the far end, let me see if we can't find him. I know his son is buried somewhere around here as well. Lewis is their is the other name. But anyway, guys, this will be another vlog for another day. Remember, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Always means a lot. Goes to show that y'all care and that y'all want to see more awesome videos. So without further ado, you guys, vlog over.